Whenever we get paid, we often just seem to just go through the motions without a real plan. And at the end of the month, some of us are left scrambling and wondering, like, whatever happened to our money? So in today's video, I'm going to be going over some of the things that you should be doing every time you get paid. Now, the very first thing that you should do whenever you get paid is to verify that your paycheck is accurate. Now, over the past 20 years or so, I've went through and I've audited how much money that I've received in my pay just to verify that things were correct. And over a few different occasions, I did find some mistakes in my paycheck. Now, I don't think it's very uncommon for payrolls to be inaccurate at times. I mean, we're all human and errors occur. So you just want to make sure that you're checking your paycheck periodically to make sure that the amount that you're getting paid is accurate. You want to check any of your pre-tax deductions, 401k contributions, health savings accounts, healthcare, dental, vision. You want to make sure that those are all accurate in your paycheck. Then you want to take a look at the amount of taxes that are being deducted and make sure that's accurate. One thing that happened to me, it was about 8 years ago when I was living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I lived on the outskirts of Pittsburgh. And if anyone's familiar with that city, I lived in the South Hills area, which is right outside the city limits of Pittsburgh. And one of the things about that city is you had a local tax that you had to pay. Anybody that lived within the city limits had to pay a 3% local tax every single year. And where I was living, it was about 1.5%. And I remember I went almost 6 months and didn't realize that they were actually taking 3% out of my paycheck every single time I got paid because it was inaccurately put in the system that I was living in city limits. Had I not caught that, I would have paid double the amount that I had to pay over the course of that year for my local taxes. That's just one example of something that I caught way back whenever I decided to check. It only takes a few minutes to just check and verify that the amount that's in your paycheck is actually accurate. And if you have any questions or you think there's a mistake in your pay, you want to reach out to your HR department, your payroll department, have a conversation with them, and they'll be able to walk you through the amount that should be deducted every single time that you get paid. Now, the next thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you put in a zero-based budget every single month. Now, my fixed expenses are pretty much the same every single month. I mean, I have my mortgage that I'm paying, my utilities are roughly the same, and I spend about the same amount of money on food every single month. So my budget is pretty much set. I've followed it for years, and I don't have to do a lot of tweaking to my budget, but I do make sure that I review it on a monthly basis because things fluctuate. I may have a bill that I have to pay this particular month that doesn't come up this month. I may have a little bit more on my credit card that I need to pay off this month versus last month because I could have had some work done around the house or I took a vacation or whatever it is. But I make sure that every single month that I have a budget that is zero base. So every dollar that I bring in has a home. I have a very specific amount that I'm putting in to my investments. I have a very specific amount that I'm putting in my savings. I have a specific amount that I'm setting aside for miscellaneous things to go out and do things every single month with my family. So I just make sure that I have that budget. And once you have that in place, it's going to make things so much easier for you because every dollar has a home. You're not going to have to question or guess, right? If you want to go to the movies or you want to go out to dinner and you have that money set aside specifically for that, you could spend that money and not even have to worry about it, right? And that's going to be one of the best things that you actually implement whenever you're trying to get your finances in order is setting up a zero-based budget to where every single dollar has a home every single month. Now, once you have that budget set up, the very next thing that you're going to want to do is set aside money to invest in yourself. Now, I'm telling you, this is where a lot of people fail because you have almost an unlimited return on investment or ROI when you invest in yourself. Now, just think about it. I'm going to give you a very quick example. If you are a 25 to 30-year-old and you have a job and you're making $20 an hour and you're getting by, but you could be doing better. Right? You could be investing a little bit of your income every single month in order to level up, right? You may want to go to a junior college or a community college and get a certification in cybersecurity. right? And that would allow you to increase your income substantially. And if you're not looking to get into a STEM field, science, technology, engineering, or math, maybe you want to get into the trades. Maybe you want to be a plumber. Maybe you want to be an electrician. Whatever you want to do, you want to make sure you're setting aside money every single month to invest in yourself, because there is literally no cap on the amount of ROI that you can get by investing in yourself every single month. And whenever you're putting together your budget, you just want to make sure that you set aside X amount every single month, just like any other bill that you have, like a phone bill, to invest in yourself. All right, now after you've invested in yourself, the very next thing that you're going to want to do is you just want to make sure that you pay your expenses. And one of the ways that you're going to be able to do this is you're going to automate this process, right? If you've got a phone bill, you've got your electric bill, you've got your water bill, you've got your gas bill, all of those fixed expenses, your rent or your mortgage, you want to put that on autopilot. Go into your account online and have that to automatically draft from your account on whatever day that it's due. This is probably the second most important thing that I've done from a financial perspective, is setting things up to automatically happen without me having to do anything, right? I've got all of my expenses, my phone bill, my gas bill, my water bill, my electric bill, my mortgage, all of that is set up on auto draft payments, and they come out on the exact same day every single month. It's in my budget. I don't even have to think about it. I don't have any actions to take. I don't have to do anything. Set up one time and it takes care of everything. I used to be against having things automatically drafted out of my bank account. And quite honestly, I have no idea why. It was probably because it was at a point in time in my life where I just didn't know if I was going to have that amount in my checking account every single month. So I wanted to make sure that I manually had to do it to make sure that I didn't overdraft my account. But once I started actually putting together a zero-based budget, all of those fears went away because I knew what my bills were. I knew how much money I had to spend on miscellaneous things and having fun every single month. And it just made the process that much easier. All right, now that we've got our expenses on autopilot, the very next thing that we're going to do is we're going to start to build up our savings, right? A lot of people call this an emergency fund. You can call it whatever you want. I like to have roughly 3 months worth of expenses in a high yield savings account just sitting on the sidelines so I can have quick access to the cash. This fluctuates from time to time. So if I need something that's not in my zero-based budget and I need to go over that, I dip into that emergency fund and I just replenish it the following month. I'm not a fan of having my money just sitting on the sidelines and not working for me. So I like to have my money invested. And I'm liquid enough that if a big emergency comes up, I could always get to the cash within one business day. Now, if you've already got your emergency fund set up and you don't need to add anything additional to that, then what I would start to do is start paying extra towards any debts that you may have, whether that's medical bills, student loans, car payments, anything that you have an outstanding balance on. Now is the time to use that additional income that you would have been putting in your emergency fund towards paying off that debt. Once you have your emergency fund set up and you're no longer focused on funding that account, you'll start to realize that any money that you would have had allocated to that account that you can now put towards any expenses that you have will start to pay those down much faster. A lot of people talk about paying down debt that has the highest interest rate first. Of course, you could take that approach, but the approach that I like to take is I like to pay off the smallest to largest so I can just start knocking those out, because it's more of a psychological thing for me. If I've got 5 or 6 bills that are out there and I've got a bill that's like $150 or whatever it may be, and I pay that off, then psychologically I'm like, all right, let me cross that off the board. I've got 5 other bills left to pay and I've already knocked one out. So it kind of gives you that little dopamine hit that you've accomplished something and you can just check that off. All right, so you've got your zero-based budget in place and you're investing in yourself every single month. And on top of that, you're paying extra towards any of your outstanding debt. So everything is rolling pretty good right now for you at this point. Now, the very next thing that you should be doing when you get paid is remembering to set aside a specific amount of money every single month to just have fun. Now, in the finance space, we often talk about saving, investing, and debt payoff, and not really going out and just spending your money. Now, that's not realistic, right? I think for me, I like to look at my budget and how I do things in percentages, right? So we talked about investing in yourself, and that could be 5%, 10% of your monthly take home pay. And you should be allocating 5 to 10% of your monthly take home pay just to go out and do the things that you want to do. You want to go to the movies, you want to take a little trip, you want to buy clothes, you want to do the things that make life fun for us. You should absolutely be doing that. As long as it is an amount that you've set aside specifically for that, you should be going out and spending that every single month. We shouldn't just be focusing on working, saving, investing, and never being able to cut loose and have a good time. See, on my channel, I often try to have a good balance of being able to work hard, investing, and having goals, but also being able to set aside enough time and money to go out and have a good time. All right, so those are the things that you should be doing every single time that you get paid. And after a while, it just gets to a point to it can take you 10 to 15 minutes every single month to do all of these things, right? You can go through your budget, put your zero-based budget in every single month. You already have the same amount of money that you're investing in yourself every single month. And the only thing that's likely going to fluctuate is going to be how much additional that you can pay on your debts to get those paid off faster. What do you guys think? To me, it's fairly simple. Follow the plan until you hit your goals. Leave a comment down below. Let me know, what's your payday routine? What's your payday plan? And how do you go about allocating your funds every single month?